analyze the deal. So when you're looking to buy an investment, you want to look at it from multiple perspectives. Here are some common metrics you're going to want to look at. Internal rate of return, that's what we've been doing in these videos. That's your return, taking into account the time value of money, the way we've been doing here. Cap rate, that's an investment-specific metric that tells you the return you get approximately on an all-cash deal. It basically shows you how well is the investment pulling its own weight when it comes to return per year. Then you have the cash-on-cash return. Now we're moving from cap rate, which is investment-specific, to cash-on-cash return, which is more investor-specific. That's where you start taking into account things like loans. And different borrowers, different investors get different types of loans. So the cash-on-cash return varies from investor to investor. Whereas cap rate is more investment specific and is probably going to be roughly the same no matter who buys the property, obviously depending on the purchase price. Next, we have the price per unit. This is one I definitely wouldn't make any decisions based on, but you're going to want to see how your price per unit compares to what's going on in the market. And then gross rent multiplier. I consider this one to be a completely meaningless metric, but pay attention to it if people actually use that in your market. If you know somebody who uses gross rent multiplier, you're probably going to want to sell your property to them. But I digress. But you certainly wouldn't want to buy on that metric. Each of these metrics has its own nuances and could be a mini course on its own. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about each of these. There's plenty of information out there on these. Granted, it's incomplete information. A lot of the most sophisticated investors I've worked with, they start out doing the discounted cash flow analysis and using internal rate of return, basically doing everything we just did throughout all these other videos. Once they come up with their purchase price, that's when they start looking at cap rate. That's when they start looking at cash on cash return. That's when they start looking at price per unit. That's when they look at the gross rent multiplier, if they even look at that. Those are more checks and after the fact things they look at after they do all the work we just did here. What you learn throughout these videos is the foundation, and the other items are more byproducts of that foundation than anything else. Remember that. So let's go see this in action.